Hey, dork. What'd you get me for lunch today?
Trevor, give me back my food.
Wow.
Killed a Marge, you broke a bicuspid.
I didn't break anything. What the? Stew. Oh, it's people. It's stew. It's people. It's people.
Of the mandible indicates the victim was male. The victim was processed.
Processed.
Oh, I agree. The tissue shows evidence of being marinated.
Are you saying he came in a can?
Most definitely.
Our CEO, Sam Gifford, can fill you in on security. He's flying in from his place in Colorado.
None of the remains we found were larger than 6 centimeters in length.
That sounds like he must have gone through the meat processor. It cuts uniformly with very little waste.
How did this batch even pass inspection? Human remains have a different fat content.
All our product is, and this batch underperformed the quality check, which is why it was diverted to a second-tier market and not sold to a grocery store.
Public schools are a second-tier market. Good luck spinning that at the pizza.
Someone must have fallen into the machine.
No, this was no accident, Booth. There were no clothes, and the cooked tissue shows no signs of bruising along the incision line.
Oh, my God.
Oh my god, what?
The victim was killed prior to being fed into the meat processor.
Canned murder.
Ooh, how's it going?
Revolting. It's a human bone in every can, so it makes sense that the meat chunks are also human. This incision is consistent with a frontal craniotomy scar.
The victim underwent brain surgery.
Precision is exquisite. There couldn't be more than 2 or 3 neurosurgeons that could have done this.
Squints ID'd the victim. Howard Compton, 41.
He had an operation for anosmia.
He was bald?
He couldn't smell.
Chemist, biologist, psychophysicist.
He was a food scientist.
Reported missing by his business partner, Agatha Bloom, 5 days ago. You talked to her.
I assume you're here to tell me he's deceased.
Yes, murdered.
That's upsetting. Did he die at Kettletop Stew?
How did you know?
I didn't murder Howard, if that's what you're thinking. I'm a bromatologist with acute hyperosmia.
You're saying that you could smell where Howard was murdered? Well, now that Howard's dead, the company's all yours, correct?
No, I'm merely an employee with a small profit participation.
This is the sharp force injury to the victim's clavicle at 400 times magnification. See the half-moon crescent notch? First thought was a needle.
Ms., the gauge on the injury is too big. There aren't any medical needles that size.
That's because it isn't a medical needle. It's an injector used to marinate meat.
You recognize this?
It's a marinade injector.
Mm-hmm. Why do you recognize it?
I designed it with Howard.
The question is, did you use this to kill Howard?
No.
Howard was going to dump his company, the same company you had to work for 10 years before you saw a profit.
It wouldn't be rational for me to kill Howard. It would remove the last hope of keeping the company alive.
Sweetie, we've got something to show you. This is a recreation of the victim's death. That most needles have a plunger or backstop that limits the amount of fluid taken in or expressed.
The point is, the needle on the marinade injector was open-ended.
Based on the angle that the victim was stabbed.
And our murderer would have been drenched in blood.
This is excellent work.
Thank you.
It makes up for whichever one of you mistook this bone for a human medial cuneiform.
Well, what is it?
It's equine. As a senior intern here, Ms. Wick, that makes this your mistake.
Equine. That means it's from a horse?
Yes.
Does this mean the stew was made out of horse?
This could have gotten him killed.
He knew someone was putting horse meat in the stew and was threatening to expose the company.
Horse meat, which you fed to school children.
What you did was incredibly dangerous. This horse meat wasn't properly inspected. It could have been laced with phenylbutazone, which is toxic to bone marrow, and on rare occasions can cause a plastic anemia if consumed.
But for now, look what we got here.
You authorized the purchase of beef from this slaughterhouse in Mexico.
Beef!
This slaughterhouse doesn't produce beef.
It only sells horse meat. It's definitely something you would have known.
Agent Booth here thinks that Howard Compton found this out and was going to tell the authorities.
So you killed him and you tossed him in the horse meat.
I'm not going to confess to killing Howard Compton. You have no proof.
Oh, we don't want you to confess.
No.
We just got a search warrant so we can look at your hair.
For what?
Positive. You washed your hair a dozen times, but it wasn't enough.
All right, you're under arrest. Let's go.
You handcuffing me.
Why? Because you murdered Howard Compton, that's why. Come on.